Thank you. I was going to push record. Excellent. And then I will remind everyone that any noises and background noises, the subtle ones, even Linda's fan over here can be a distraction and to us. And look, sometimes it happens, but let's try to be very courteous and mute ourselves. And I do want to, I was looking for Crystal Simone Smith's other choice of Lenard D. Moore's poem, but I found, here it is in front of me, some of Lenard's favorites. The heat in the trench, a Marine lifts the helmet off his head. And that is what Crystal Simone Smith chose of Lenard's, the one of three. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part 2 of the NSPS program today. This is the program of Sam Ragan, the Sam Ragan Awards Day during the 90th anniversary celebration. We have been privileged to be able to hear from the 2022 Pinesong Dedicatee, who is Lenard D. Moore. And anyway, it's just been phenomenal with these incredible students who, with the support of their families and the orchestrating of Jonathan Giles, presented this morning without peer. We're so proud of them, all of us, so many former teachers here, music to our ears. We are so proud of our Ashley Lumpkin, who is our vice president for adult poetry winners. Ashley is having some unexpected issues with the internet. However, the wonderful Joan Beresovska will be facilitating the reading of the adult winners' poems in Ashley's absence. However, we're hopeful that Ashley can break through this frustrating battle. But at this point, then, let us turn the baton over to Joan Beresovska. Thank you, Joan.
Thank you. This is an honor. And please bear with me as I stumble through. I'm going to begin with the winner of the Poet Laureate Award competition. The judge of this competition was former Poet Laureate, North Carolina Poet Laureate, Joseph Bethante. And I'm going to read his comments on the award winner's poem. The name of the poem, Two Variations on a Theme of a Tenement as Viewed from the Window of a Moving Train with a Song Interposed. And the winner, Maria Raphael. The judge's comments. Two Variations on a Theme of a Tenement as Viewed from the Window of a Moving Train with a Song Interposed is a powerfully ambitious poem, even visionary. The speaker's eye, wending through the mundane to the mythic, takes in everything and renders it through a lens that is at once documentary and movingly compassionate. The poem's linguistic intensity, its sheer percussive sonic heft, is extraordinary. Ultimately a praise song, a litany to the unseen and unsung, it gathers torque, line by explosive line, until it seems about to detonate. It resounds long after we've stopped reading it. Maria Raphael, our award winner, could not be with us because she's in California. She recorded the poem for us. And here is the poem read by Maria Raphael. And I sure hope this works. Okay, I'm going to have to do a little something here. Hold on. Sorry, I'm going to have to look for that again. Should not take long. And this is an example of bearing with me. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Now, I'm going to share my screen, and here we are. Here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maria Raphael. I can't be with you in person today, so I'm coming to you via this video clip. I want to congratulate all the poets who are assembled here, and I want to thank the North Carolina Poetry Society for all of the hard work everyone has put into making this celebration a very special event for us, and also the judges for their hard work. So again, congratulations to everyone. And I will read my poem, Two Variations on a Theme of a Tenement, which won this year's Poet Laureate contest. Two variations on a theme of a tenement, as viewed from the window of a moving train, with a song interposed. 1. Melancholy in a Midwestern city. What you see from the clack and clattering L train, the surge and sway high over the streets. Your city, its belly of sandstone and iron, spooned up against the lake's south flank. Factories, ruins of abattoirs, ghosts of strikers and murdered immigrants, traces of the Great Migration under the dark tarpaulin of twilight, one broken block following another. Leashed to the horizon, the train lurches west, past a tenement, solitary, austere, strange as a spear of prairie grass in a patch of crumbled asphalt. You fix on this vertical work, pressing into your retinas, its corniced roof shouldering a cloud. And you hold on and on to it, falling into the night which closes like an eye. Song of the Continent. Where once a glacier unclamped its claw, and the space between mountains birthed 5 small seas, where the young earth bared its face to scarifying gales whirled down from the polar turning point, where the borealis still billow, green curtains in the window of night, sing. 2. A tenement at the golden hour. In the burnish before the gloaming, the wintry, almost evening air of the higher latitudes, stark and clear as Arctic ice, you find a seat on the 520 heading west out of the city, settle into sound and rhythm, the brick and beam tableau sliding backwards in the oblong window, ramshackle rooftops, parking lots, your fellow work weary, huddled on station platforms. Against the slash of sky at the horizon, each minute more red, a lone tenement, its dark bulk, but how the deepening sun gilds it into a gleaming apparition. Because it is now a prodigy in your desiring eye, you want it to speak. Let it be a tower then, an obelisk. Let it lift up your prayer. Let it proclaim transfiguration to the wind, the night. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Okay, now I must go back to Pinesong. All right. So because I don't have because Pinesong doesn't print the finalists for the, excuse me, more bearing with, okay. Pinesong doesn't print the finalists of the Poet Laureate Award. Are there finalists here present? Okay, Kelly Jones, would you read your finalist poem?
Sure. I just want to say too to everyone, it's really an honor to be even considered on a Zoom call with everyone here. And this has been a dream come true. And I'm trying to enjoy it and not get into imposter syndrome. But I just have so much admiration for the people on this call and people who are also nominated. So my poem, I'll tell you very quickly, came out of a true event with my kids. We used to go out and look for meteors, and suddenly I realized they'd grown up. This poem is called Perseids. Perseids. My children lay beside me on an old tattered blanket, the three of us looking up into deep, ceaseless sky, waiting for the first light to streak across. They are for once strangely still, eyes peering with reverence at fingerprints God left on the Milky Way. Their heads warm, each arm, as I point their gaze towards Perseus, the monster slayer. I tell them not to look at the falling star, but beside it. We only see the dimmest light by looking away. I am answered by only breathless silence from both of them. Years ago, they would ask, who made the stars? And I would tell them the ancient story of how the sky was once blanketed in darkness and a hummingbird pricked the cape of darkness so the world could have light again. But there are no questions tonight. They are old enough to keep their questions in their pockets like a secret toy. But I see the awe orbiting in their eyes. I want to tell them all I have learned from the night sky, that stars always fall again and again, and we put them back like a bird fallen from a nest, that faith, like the tip of the hummingbird's wings, can only be seen by glancing away, that God will leave you and you will leave God only to find each other in this cathedral of night with scripture written in starlight. That memories will flare across your skies, but some will never fade. That time diminishes everything, but the stars will be there for you, even when the skies fall. But I say nothing. Like Perseus, they have their own monsters to slay, their own orbits, their own darkness to find, their own worlds to create and destroy and create again. I can only hope they will mingle their lives with starlight, never untangling from wonder. The three of us now, a little colder, huddle a little closer as we wait for the first piece of sky to fall. Thank you.
Joyce Brown. Thank you, Kelly. Please unmute, Joyce. Joyce, can you?
I'm here. I'm
there.
sorry. I'm sorry. I was so impressed by that poem. I was trying to write a little. I'm sorry. I appreciate this, and reading it, hearing these others makes me all the more grateful that I even got listed in the finalists. I'm not sure that I belong, but it's a poem of love. It's called Night Song. At night, my brothers would giggle in the darkness of their cold iron bed stacked with storied quills. They'd cup their hands under hollow armpits, flap elbows till they'd stirred enough air to make fart noises, or maybe quacking ducks. The four of us were in one room, the boys, my mother, and me. Maybe in a bigger house, we would have sought distance at night, solitary and brooding, the boys in little boy fears and fantasies, my mother in memory and resolve, me in the infantile mystery of shadow faces creeping on beadboard walls. Maybe the house was what we needed, just space enough to feel our bond. Those boys to dim the death they'd watched a year or two ago, their father's final breath. Our mother to know that she'd kept us all in spite of smug well-wishers and orphanage talk. Me to offer a final glimpse of childhood unscarred. In that dark room, my brothers could force my sad-eyed mother to laugh against her great pride, where the walls hid all and the beadboard goblins were trapped behind the paint, when we were safe and blind and could not read her broken face. She was not to be seen, not to be acknowledged, dressed in less than stoic housewife form. This farm woman of a past age, lost, had left her here in a room, 3 children in the darkness, the careful ritual of pretense in a beadboard fort, a quiet glass, 2 boys salvaging a childhood, creating a reason to smile in the dark. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Are there other finalists for the Poet Laureate Award present? If so, just unmute. Okay. We are going on to this keeps jumping off, to the next contest, which is the Alice Osborne Award for poems written for children from 2 to 12 years of age, not written by children, but for children. The first honorable mention, or they're not in order, but honorable mention goes to Carolyn Pleasance York for Hot Dog with all the relish he can muster. Carolyn is not here. The second, Nearly Winter by Gary Phillips. Gary is not here. Please speak up if you are here, but I don't see you. Mora High with the next honorable mention. Mora, are you here? I don't hear you. And Bradley Samore with second place, Pioneer. No Bradley. First place goes to Jean Marie Olivieri for The Frog Prince, and I think that Jean Marie is here.
Yep. Thank you, Joan. Okay. Okay. The Frog Prince. What a burden it is to wear this crown. It sits heavy on my warty head. I can hardly remember when I didn't hop, but walked instead. I make my home in a marsh, in tall reeds with tadpoles and fishes. I have no castle or royal court, just a sticky tongue and croaking wishes. The only fire I want to see comes from flies, so good to eat. Give me wet leaves and shallow pools, no hearth fires or loaves of wheat. Soon there will be no redemption for me. Nothing will unweb my feet. Not 1 or a dozen maidens' kisses. The witch's revenge will be complete. And will I be happier when at last the crown falls from my head? When I hop away, just a frog, ring the bell, the prince is dead.
Thank you, Jean Marie. I miss you. The next contest is the Catherine Kennedy McIntyre Light Verse Award. And the first honorable mention that I'll call is, scroll down, to Mary O'Keefe Brady, speak up if you're here. For A Foodie Visits Normandy. Next, Jean Julian in Maine. Jean, you're here, yes?
Yes, hi, everybody.
Please proceed.
I'm filling out to sleep. You intrude, intend to ease my cares, but knock my bedtime novel to the floor. I only want you when you are not there. A long drive at the wheel, I try not to scare, thrown off course by battling your ardor as you intrude, intend to ease my cares. Dim lecture hall, the speaker drones. I'm unaware of what the savant says. My eyelids close, I snore. I only want you when you are not there. My lover turns to me, lips moist, chest bare. Tenderly we kiss and he wants more, but you intrude, intend. I yawn, no fair. At 3 a.m., wide awake, I stare into dread darkness. You're what I'm waiting for. I only want you when you are not there. Though dreams may fuel art, don't you dare sneak in, disrupt imagination's labors. You intrude, intend to ease, so easy. I only want when, now, here.
Thank you, Jean. And is Bonnie Stagger here for another honorable mention?
Yes, I'm here.
Wonderful.
I apologize for any lawnmower noises, but apparently because it rained on the normal mowing day, they're making up for it and mowing right now. So I guess we have to have a good sense of humor about that too. My poem is entitled Ode to Deodorant. In our pubescent years, my girlfriends and I were aghast at those who didn't shave, whose raised arm displayed a tangled nest of too much information, while your brands of pit sticks like Mum and Secret promised to be discreet and keep us fresh as a daisy. If we only rolled on your marketing strategy, and guys seduced by ads with cleavage or boasting benefits of volcanic charcoal or by pine tar in a wind-up speed stick or by Old Spice, which never quite added a hint of allspice to Dad's late afternoon aroma or stopped the yellow stains on his pressed white shirts, or a right guard that left me wondering, was it you who was supposed to guard his left? Or was it you who stumbled over the stubble during my reproductive years? Or you who now slides like a Zamboni on slick ice over my left armpit, left barren by radiation swath? You who must blanket the underarm underworld, disrupt the biome of flora occupying a humid habitat. You who bear the burden to block bacteria's flatulence, I pray you, do your due diligence and save us from this stinking world.
Thank you, Bonnie. I'm glad you were here. And now Jane Schlonsky with Everyday Aphorisms for Lazy Speakers. In second
Thank you,
place.
Joan.
Excuse me, this is the second place poem.
Thank you, Joan. Everyday aphorisms for lazy speakers. Put your shoulder to the wheel, push through pain or what you feel, place your faith in what is real, blah, blah, such and such. Keep your chin up, soldier on. Mum's the word, we're in the zone. Push your luck and just hold on. Might serve you in a clutch. Face each challenge, know your stuff, put your dukes up, cry enough, know your limit, faint and bluff slogans are a crutch. We can turn this thing around, lock and load, boots on the ground. What's destroyed won't make a sound when you're out of touch. Platitude or axiom, maxim, proverb, epigram, saying, motto, apothegm, glib words for nothing much. But when you don't know what to say, when voice is called for, or you'll pay, when thought eludes you, try cliche. Glib bears the common touch.
Thank you, Jane. Now, I should have mentioned that our judge for the Catherine Kennedy McIntyre Light Verse Award was Jeremy Patton. And the first place goes to J.S. Absher, who I don't believe is present. No. And I'm going to make it my new rule that I will read the first place poems if the poet isn't present. When I lost my wallet. When I lost my wallet, it had a wad of dough. I lost all of it. Moolah, call it. Cash money, the nut, dough. When I lost my wallet, the boodle was small, but enough to stroke my ego. I lost all of it. It leaked out like a faucet. Who knew that shekels flow? When I lost the wallet with my wherewithal, it left me strapped and broke. I lost all of it. Lettuce, call it. Call it lolly or dinero. When I lost my wallet, I lost all of it. All right, we are moving to the next contest, which is the Bloodroot Haiku Award. The judge was Robert Moyer. And we're moving to the honorable mentions. Okay. And the first honorable mention was from Jennifer Hambrick. Jennifer.
Yes, hello. It is wonderful to be with you today. I'm actually zooming in from Columbus, Ohio, but I lived in Chapel Hill, North Carolina for 6 years while I was earning my PhD there. So I feel like I'm really right now actually back in your beautiful state with you. So thank you so much for this gathering. It's lovely to see you. Here is my haiku from the contest. Her rocking chair set in its grooves, deep winter. Her rocking chair set in its grooves, deep winter. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, as Jennifer did for the haiku winners, please read your haiku twice. Lorraine Patton.
Thank you so much. A pleasure and honor to be with you all. And I'm calling in from San Diego, California. Here's my haiku. Exposed bedrock. The all-white jury acquits. Exposed bedrock. The all-white jury acquits. Thank you.
Thank you. And in second place, Ed Brempson.
Okay, I'm working on trying to unmute myself. Yeah, hi, I'm Ed. I'm right up the road in Raleigh, so I'm not too far, but I appreciate the Zoom meeting. So let's see, my haiku. Spring graduation. My teacher forgets the name of her cancer. Spring graduation. My teacher forgets the name of her cancer.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, and I appreciate the prize. And anyway, have a nice day.
Thank you. And our first place winner is Debbie Strange here. Okay, in first place by Debbie Strange. Busker's hat. A child offers coins of dried lunaria. Busker's hat. A child offers coins of dried lunaria. The next contest is the Poetry of Courage Award. The judge was Carrie French Nelson. The first honorable mention winner was Joyce Brown.
Thank you, Joan. This poem is called My Sister Shows Me Her Childhood Bus Route. She was fiery even then, standing strong against the boy bullies torturing her little brother as the bus chugged and stopped out there on old Buffalo Shoals Road, paused at farmhouses in need of paint, frail tenant shacks that looked as if they'd collapse of their own volition. At each stop, the boys chanted a new chorus, a blade and tender heart. Lauren, Lorene, Lauren, Lorene. Each call, another wound. His boy child soul already wearing down from the fray. She was a pale and skinny child, black straight hair, bowl cut plain, 9 years old, heart muscled, ready to take on her brother's flinching fear, her father's slow death, her mother's brokenness. Her eyes were lasers, knowing she was not Zeus. There would be no Zeus to punish or to save. She was Hestia, keeper of the hearth. She was the hearth itself, her mother, brother, sister, ever hovering nearer for the warmth. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. The second honorable mention, Thomas Jackson.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yay. Thank you so much for this honor. My poem is titled Body Parts. It's dedicated to my friend Knowledge Corbin, who threatened to beat up the person that this poem is about in order to defend me when I got death threats as a 16-year-old. So this is also dedicated to queer students in schools nationwide who are seeing their identities pushed into the headlines and are scared to go to school. And in response to Florida, we always say the word gay. Body parts. Would I be more apt to show my hands in photographs had I been able to find bodily comfort without the rush of a daily lunch denial? 15, 16, mirror tummy pinching, wondering where fat is coming from if they tell me I'm too skinny, emaciated, skeletal, discovering my knack for imagery early. Would my smile be crooked had he done what he proposed that got cops involved and buried my face in exposed aggregate concrete, killing me as the bell for first period rang out, just like he promised? Because I mocked him for being incapable of leaving me alone. Obsession of a lonely blonde bigot, the closest I had to a secret admirer, screaming into steam, midnight in the shower, scared to go to school, not wanting to come out as gay, to save my skin in the most twisted way. Having them all believe I got in a spat with him instead. It's what us boys do. Banning me from social media for 2 weeks as punishment. Would I be put away still, rotator cuffs torn to shreds from wall punches had I wrapped my hands around the administrator's neck, like I saw myself when he said I should have danced more carefully through crossfire or trimmed my sharp edges to not ruffle feathers, lecturing me about Mr. Wonderful's life difficulty while I sat in the cold office, staring out at breezy trees, wondering if I'd depersonalize again and end up under one during class. Seasoned symptom tradition. Would my digestion function better without a history of weathering empty stomach panic attacks pillless? Would there be any poetry without buried memories to exhume? Piecing together a body composed of found bones rattling with invisible pain. The one they never go to war for. The one they'd stitch back together for great needlework compliments. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. I'm astonished by how closely the last two poems fit together. All right, enough commentary from me. Is Lee Stockdale here for the next honorable mention?
He is, and I am.
Wonderful.
Getting to the bottom of it. One of the obstacles at Fort Benning's Officer Candidate School was a long, narrow plank above a lake between two telephone poles. In the middle of the plank was a step too high. I successfully crossed over by repeating in my mind, "Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus." The family loves hiking to Bradley Falls, where every 2 years someone falls and is killed, disregarding the "stay back" signs. I stay more well back than anyone in the family. We went on vacation to New York City and stayed on the hotel's 7th floor. The 2 times I stood at the open window, I felt an unseen hand try to flip me out the window, down into the street below. The next time I made a hotel reservation, this time for a conference in Newark, New Jersey, I told the receptionist, "My father jumped out a window and killed himself. Can you please give me a room on the 1st or 2nd floor?" I had never made this request before and was grateful for her understanding and mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Is Marjorie McNamara here? Marjorie won 2nd place for No More Voiceovers. And the 1st place winner is Bonnie Stagger.
Thank you. And thank you very much for this award and for the opportunity for those of us who live in the other North Dakota to submit to your contest. This poem is, it has an after to Natalie Diaz. I have used one of her lines as the last 2 lines in my poem. Winter is for wittering. We live with struggle and wind that rankles our ghosted breath. The river, knit with ice, bends under its own weight in a brittle winter. The way wonder offers a pledge so small in the wideness of loss. Clouds, like a tangle of tissues, turn tears into snowflakes in the cashmere light. No solace in the solstice. It's only December and we must be brave. Thank you.
Thank you. The next contest category is the Bruce Slater Poetry of Witness Award. The judge was Ashley Hayes. And the first honorable mention, you know, I miss so much the handing out of certificates and actually seeing people respond and hearing the applause, but this is the next best thing. Is Nick Sweet here to read his poem? Nick Sweet won honorable mention for Decent or Decent Dissent. The next honorable mention is by Maureen Sherbandi. Is Maureen here? She won honorable mention for Today the English Department Fills with Stretchers. The next honorable mention is by Kathy Sky. Is Kathy present? She won an honorable mention for Nude Descending a Staircase #2. And in second place, we have Kelly Jones. Kelly?
Hey everyone, so I'm a space nerd and I've started to own it. And I love all things space and especially space history. And for me, one of the most important days in the history of mankind is October 4th, 1957, when Russia launched the first satellite. And it's hard for us to understand 2 generations later how this impacted society. But this poem is about that day. It's called October 4. You were born screaming to the sky, a child of ancient flame and embered wars, silvered skin, red blood within, breaking through the earthly womb. All eyes stare at you like Neanderthals at first blaze. Men huddle around radios, listening to your voice crackle with fire. Fingers pointed as you drink light from a charcoal sky and cross the horizon, traveling at the speed of silence. You see all that we know below and all that we don't know above. The world shrinks to an uneasy size. Continents drift and collide. Echoes of your birth crumble mountains and swallow seas as you circle the flattening earth. But all dreams thrown at the heavens crash back in pieces. The flawless autumn sky will give way to winter's sad infirmity. You will cool, returning to fire. Your spirit, forged in the furnaces of distant stars, will be dust and illusion once more. But tonight, you bend the firmament toward your will. Great men and ants ponder your genesis in equal wonder. Tonight, the world lies awake in its bed, staring out an open window into a newborn darkness, dreaming of us and them, of earth and sky, of fire and ice, of creating and destroying. You drift across the iron curtains, unaware of the fires now burning below, moving faster, dropping lower, beeping a soulless hymn that announces to the universe, man is now a god. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. In first place, Thomas Jackson.
Hello again. I have a second dedication for this poem. I'd like to dedicate this poem to my friend Tess Majors, who was murdered in December of 2019 at 18 years old. Very close friend of mine, and I wrote this poem a couple months before that with the explicit intent to dedicate it to them in person. And it took on a much more rageful iteration after that event occurred because I was robbed of that moment. I'd like to invite you to learn more about Tessa's life. The family has created a website in the aftermath, www.tessmajors.com. And also they were a prolific musician. If you have Spotify, they released music under a band called Patient Zero and some songs under their name. My poem is titled The Big Mistake. And when I got the email about this award, which I'm so grateful for, I think I had one of the most unique experiences to a poetic honor, which is I got into my car and I let out the biggest scream of my entire life. And it was like a demon had been cast out of me. And I thank you so much for holding space for this rage. And I like to say that the biggest mistake that society can make is pissing a poet off. So without further ado, this is my poem, The Big Mistake. Confined spaces scare me. I walk quicker down hallways when I hear accompanying feet paces behind. Whisper cursing the outfit I wore that generated 13 drunk compliments. Too sheer, too stupid, should have brought a sweatshirt. Wondering if cheap mail order silver sheen textiles will be the big mistake that gets me on the news. Another one lost to a man who's tolerant when girls are around. Cede a little bit of safety and tell him, press 3. Get off one floor below and find a stairwell. So much progress made. There's more people that will miss you and sympathize with tragedy. Give the sun enough time to set and their brothers will kill you. Same way they used to text, I want you, I'm into you, yet your hesitation prevailed, rightly so, as it was always a drunken party dare to play you like a worn out joke. They were well regarded and I was just me. How could I think I'm worthy? Battered nerves bathing in stress hormones and paranoia assaults, sheer avarice, wasting prayers for my safety on being so loud. Will the big mistake that leaves me sending symbolic cardinals to alleviate loved one grief be my openness's peak, a trait they laud as admirable and their favorite thing to pick apart? Will it feel like a mistake or will I die in rare glittered splendor? Throat between palms. They all wait in line to clean as if the blood is his. Rushing to his defense, my skin probably hit on him, so he hit it back. They know how much I talk about sex. I walk as fast as I can back to my bed, bury clothes in the bottom of my hamper so the handyman can't tell either. Retreating from the maid's statement to break the evidence-based fever. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Congratulations. The next category is the Carol Besant-Heyman Poetry of Love Award. Our judge was Angelo T. Geeter. And the first honorable mention, Lee Ann Gillen. I believe here she is.
Can you actually see me or is it just a photograph that's up?
Let me see.
We had the photograph.
Yeah, I've tried to put the, I was on, but it will not come back. Okay, you can look at my wonderful family while I read this poem for you. This is called Joy Prom, and this was written in response to my daughter, whose experience with Down syndrome was sort of highlighted by this particular event. And that's her next to my husband. Joy Prom, there's a little epigraph. Providence Baptist Church announces the Joy Prom for all mentally handicapped adults, everything provided. Silver elevator doors glide open. My 4'10", 20-year-old daughter, medium brown hair dancing on her shoulders, slides past chattering parents, wiggles around caseworkers, sidesteps other young adults, bounces past the Little Lambs preschool, peeks in the Helper Saints classroom, strides to the Soldiers of Christ meeting room in this born-again hotel. Hundreds of dresses cling together on borrowed round racks. She looks through the slightly used formal gowns, hoping to find one to fit her oval figure and too short arms and legs. She chooses a silk, a satin, a taffeta, and a chiffon. She sheds her shorts and shirt and slides her long slip over her head and hips. The burgundy taffeta falls from shoulders to toes, transforms my child into the woman she is. She emerges into the hall and conversation stops. In the cheval mirror, she checks every angle from her bodice to the bow. Arms upraised, she curtsies, twirls, she smiles at herself, whispers, Where do they keep the glass slippers?
Thank you.
That's a true story.
Thank you, Leanne.
You're welcome. Oh, by the way, I'm on from Chattanooga, Tennessee, but I lived in Raleigh for 38 years. So I feel very much a part of the North Carolina Poetry Society.
Very good. And is Laura Alderson here? Okay, Laura won honorable mention for Love Wild. Is Mary O'Keefe Brady here? She won second place for A Meal to Die For. And I know that Kelly Jones is here. Kelly, you are just doing a sweep this year. Kelly won first place in the Poetry of Love Award.
Well, Joan, since you mentioned that, I do want to say I'm a member of Nexus Poets and from New Bern, and several of you guys are on here, but without that group, I would not be making any progress at all. And so many people have inspired me and encouraged me, along with the North Carolina Poetry Society, but Nexus in particular. So I just want to say a special thanks to Sam Love and that group for just being such a wonderful place to go and figure things out. Still in the process, obviously, figuring that out. So this poem was really about thinking about my 25th anniversary and my wife and all the things that we've been through, as everyone goes through. And this is called A Walk on the Beach the Night of Our 25th Anniversary. This day, once so far in front of us, now fades behind us, like our steps in the momentary sand. The evening has slowed, caught in the undertow of yesterday's. The moon, full and bold, lights our way, past the pier where men lean over empty waters, past the lovers hiding from dawn in the dunes. We walk, our hands coiled in a rare embrace. Grit roughens our skin, but your touch is gentle and firm, like it was at my mother's funeral. Our thoughts are about time and tides and loss, of stars and mortgages and deaths. I'm sure there are regrets, but we keep them hidden behind clouds that flare in the distance. Tonight we talk little, there is not much to say. I write a message in between waves on the shifting ground. The words between us have always been written in sand. Our dreams always in pieces, broken and smoothed at our feet. The tide swallows them both, and we start again and again, new and older each time. The clouds, fast as smoke, turn to darkness in an instant. The hooks are pulled in by the old men. The lovers dash for higher ground. Water now comes from above and below, but we stay still in this familiar storm. Our clothes soaked. We are baptized by stars and salt and vows, and we walk on. Your hand, wet and warm and infinite, takes mine, tighter this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kelly. And Kelly makes a point. Poets need poets. Joanne, the next category is the Joanna Catherine Scott Award. The judge was Mary James Serrano. And the first honorable mention was Susan Spalt. Susan, are you here? For Seasons Turning. The next honorable mention went to Martin Settle. Martin? Okay. Martin took honorable mention for Marriage Twice. Jane Schlonsky took honorable mention for Writing After 70. Jane.
Thank you. Writing After 70. This poem is called Rim Koué, I don't know if you've run into that one, but I very often write with Writer's Digest form challenges because they're just that, they're a challenge, and I like that. So this is the form for today, Rem Koué. Writing after 70. If you walk through my deepest mind, through loves and wonders left behind, perhaps you'd come to see that nothing cherished fades away. The past, as vivid as today, preserved by memory. Trees fall and nurture other trees. Snows melt and run to vaster seas. All nature changing form. Our kind thoughts, these words we write, migrating birds aloft in flight, return to keep us warm. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. And in second place, Nancy Young for Not Nice.
Thanks, Joan. I have to say, I love a well-constructed sonnet or any other villanelle that you might throw out there. But this poem is a response to the letter in the New York Times Book Review that was blasting modern poetry. And it said, bring back meter, rhyme, alliteration, and poetic form, and make poetry live again, as if it had died. My poem also has a nod to Frost's musing on freedom as being easy in your harness. I'm not easy under others' constraints. Not nice. A nice poem rhymes. It keeps the time, can coax a smile that lasts a while. A nice poem's couplets lilt and sing. No stanzas disrupt anything. A fine one scans with little effort. Its lines flow on without a skip, though here and there a spondee sports, or all the words slide off the lip. Nice poets live in rosy places. They move easy in their traces. All words serve best that fit their scheme and mood, a light and cheerful romp with hope endued. Not nice poets mar lines, kill time, jar readers, inject reams of near rhyme, drop punctuation, use white space, and end stop to slow the sludgy flow. They delight in bottling a lone stark image like an aborted fetus with no trigger warning, because they recognize that poems should be dangerous. For who can birth a pretty verse when a broken world breeds ugly?
Thank you, Nancy. And in first place, Jean Julian.
Hi, everybody again. I just want to thank you. I'm in Maine, but I moved here from North Carolina, and seeing all your faces is very rewarding and warming. It's 63 degrees here, I just have to say. Oh, I'm sorry, I have the wrong thing up here. I thought it was interesting that so many of these poems were about poeming, as is mine. It's called Without With 2020-2021. I try not to think of what I am without these constrained days of dull routine, without museums, travel, social scenes, without agenda, confidence, or plan. Instead, what am I with? A warming hearth, view of a tidal cove, seagulls whose cries wake me at dawn, the cold calming surprise of snow that overnight quite masked the earth. If with a mask only my eyes can smile, if without I threaten all who breathe my laughter, then I'll flaunt this vexing style and muddle through the months, face semi-sheathed, with faith that by so doing, in a while, without hindrance, we'll share in being with. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. The next category is the Mary Ruffin Poole American Heritage Award. The judge was Richard Smythe. What you all are missing is the judge's comments, because I don't have access to that, but what you're getting is the poetry. So I think that's pretty good. Is Anne Miles here? She won an honorable mention. No, okay. Her poem is called Thicket. Liza Wolfe Francis in the second honorable mention.
Great, thank you. Yes, it is an honor. It's been so wonderful to hear everybody's poetry. A redbird in our psyche. In heavy downpours, I think about the cardinals, whether their bark strip and twig nest lined with vines and grass is tucked into dense shrubbery or under a branch. Inside my home, I am dry as wind pounds water against window glass. On these nights of predator dreams, when my son sleeps beside me, stretches his long body across the bed, whacks me in the face with his arm, I roost here in my room with shadows of clouded moon, hazy streetlights, wait to fall back asleep. The mother cardinal dreams that her red beak snatches a beetle from grass. As she flies it to her babies, beetle legs wiggle, tickle the back end of her throat, and it escapes. She dives after it. Then in her dream, her babies, pushed from a nest by Cooper's hawk, fall into an abyss. She dives after them, wakes, brown eyes outlined by a tightly knit raised black circle, one on each side of her head, both open now. Her babies twitch beside her. If I found a hatchling on the ground, fallen from its nest, I would pick it up, careful, with oven mitt hands, even though it is an old wives' tale that human touch will repel bird parents. A cardinal would not reject her babies. Surely the name wives' tale is a misnomer. Many old wives are mothers who would not leave their babies, but sing to them 24 different songs, lullabies, and serenading ballads of crack of seed in beak, drip of rain.
Thank you, Liza.
Thank you.
In second place, LaVon Adams.
I feel very humbled to be reading today. My poem is Pollinology, which is the study of pollen. A magnolia's seed pod forms after the flower ages, after each elegant petal turns from delicate cream to buttermilk yellow. The pod seems a marriage of pine cone's shape and kiwi's texture, light green with a fuzz of white, a brown lash at the tip of each kernel, like an antenna or the curling tail of a pig. Its pollen microspores become airborne clouds of dust that hitchhike on the legs of bees, settle upon water like minuscule canoes. A scientist on a crime show I watched explained that pollen is everywhere, practically impossible to destroy, survives blasts of heat, washes of acid, a sly clue for the savvy. Flowering plants, grasses, trees, weeds, each species may be identified by pollen grains alone, unique. Think snowflakes, think fingerprints. Beneath a microscope's lens, spores may look like sponge, like coral, coffee beans, or bits of dough. Bougainvillea spores are works of art, resemble paper mache. Timothy grass casts spores that have a spot like Neptune's dark eye or the navel on a navel orange. Every day we stroll through a soup of these spores. They thicken the sediment beneath our feet. On bad days, they taste like grit on the tongue, settle in the soft ducts of eyes, catch in the cilia of the throat. Thank you.
Thank you, Levon. The first place winner, Mora High, is not here, and following my new rule, I'll read her poem, Copperhead. Copperhead. In a loose tangle on the concrete at the bottom of the wooden stair, the corner where leaves, winged seeds, and pine needles molder, where the rain pours down and drains into a sump under the steps, dark as wood piles and stump holes, as sheltered and secret, a snake, the color of stone, overcast by shreds of dead leaves. And it did what it was made to do, bit me in the foot for stepping carelessly on a summer morning, who now am no longer quite domestic, but part snake, part human, my cells connected forever to its cells and those of its predators, with a new habit of the eye for tree litter and stone, crawl spaces. So the next category is the Thomas McDill Award. The judge was Gaynor Kane, and the first honorable mention went to Allison Toney, and this is the last category. And it's sponsored by the Board of the Poetry Society. Allison Toney is not present. Her poem is called The Waters. The next honorable mention went to Vivian Bukalej.
Yeah, hi, Vivian, it's Bicklage. Hey, Joan, thank you. Thanks for all you're doing. So real quick, this is called Leah's Wedding Gown. There's Leah real quick. I thought you might want to see her. She got married this past New Year's Eve, and a shout out to Leanne Gillen for all the fabric in her poem, and to Kelly for the anniversary, because this is wedding day 1. And this was a wedding gown that was made out of 3 wedding gowns, mine, my sister's, and my mother's. Leah's wedding gown. Inside Faith Chapel, invisible threads even out her hem. French lace, intricate as a spider's weave, adorns her hands and arms, compels the groom to whisper, "I like your sleeves." Generations sewn together, her mother's chiffons swept into a free flow of a skirt, as aging satin from her godmother's gown drips a sequined trail on a train southbound to a Georgian altar. Tulle resurrects from her grandmother's bargain basement bridal dress into a veil of gauze petals, blooms breezy atop her blonde curls, lifts in a silent swirl like smoke wisps from a genie's lamp. Silk buttons, an invisible zipper, secure skins sparks of joy, promises tied in a white bustle's bow, tether tomorrow. Will the years ahead be as beautiful?
Thank you, Vivian. And the next honorable mention goes to Benjamin Cutler.
Thank you. My internet connection is utterly unreliable today, so I hope that you all can see and hear me okay. My poem is a prayer to the technician who will upload us to the cloud. When you deliver us up this modern death, this latest model of immortality, do so with ungloved hands. Leave your will be more than a web of silicone.
Benjamin, we are not getting you. We're not getting you. Would you like me to read your poem?
Yes, please. It decided to rain right at this moment. And so I think that's affecting my connection even more so. So yes, please. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
It's so appropriate what's going on over there, but okay. A prayer to the technician who will upload us to the cloud. When you deliver us up to this modern death, this latest model of immortality, do so with ungloved hands. Leave fingerprints on our untethered minds, so each moved memory will be more than a web of silicone and code, more than a pixelated specter haunting a cloud, more than merely a reminiscence of skin. With the calloused edges of your thumbs, close our abandoned eyes, shuttered, rendered obsolete. But let us keep a recollection of sight. Let us save our vocabulary of vision, an outmoded language to signify how light bends, breaks, and mends against a field of ryegrass in wind, how green shadows live and die with every shimmer. Let our formless mouths not be synthetic, silent, clean. Let us speak. Let us sing, salty, purple, fibrous, and feral, voices redolent of what is lost and altogether ancestral, so those who still have ears to hear will know something came before this brave, bloodless, forever, something earthborn came before. Thank you, Ben. Thank you for the opportunity to read your poem. In second place in the MacDill, we have another problem. The poem is by Maria Raphael, and she has authorized me to read her poem, but it has a great deal of Spanish in it. Well, a little bit of Spanish, and I am going to do my best. Abuela by Maria Raphael. In the dream, my dead father speaks the same words as when he was in the flesh. Leaning into my ear, he says, "Imagine, Hia, the nuns at the convent school taught your grandmother to write." My lips part again, as when he told me the first time about the black-eyed girl with a birth and death date no one remembered, who saw visions and wrote them down. That was before she became the too young mother, abandoned by her impatient man, who refused the burden of a tubercular wife and their 2 baby boys. "Poemas," my orphaned father said. I turned to face him as though he were the door to a vast room. But then I wake and breath streams out of my body like a tide. "Abuela," Abuelita, do you know that I see you, the poet at her desk? Do you see me at mine, writing you back into the world? The first place winner is Catherine Crawford. Catherine, are you here? Oh my, I'm going to read again. This is a treat, but I wish these poets were here. All right, the first place winner in the Thomas McDill category, Catherine Crawford for Litchfield Beach. There was a storm last night. It flashed across ocean and sky in blinding waves, circling in and out. With it, the pounding thunder, taking no time to roll, bashed through the heavens before each flash, announcing the light. And I, on the safety of a screened-in porch, listened to wind whip the palmettos, watched rain sweep in solid sheets down the skinny canal. There is something overwhelming about a lusty storm. It has a booming physicality that consumes, trapping mind and body in a place of heat and madness, allowing but moments of thought in the spaces between lightning and noise. Suddenly, I wanted to see the sea. I wished for the stunning impact of a bolt splitting the ocean, lighting just beneath the dark surface, like spidery fire flashes from some submerged dragon. I wanted to feel the pop and fizzle in the air, electricity pulsing out over waves and across sand, enough to make the tiny hairs on my arms stand on end. But I'd seen storms before, and so I let my friends leave for the beach, keeping to my porch. I have been like this lately, still and quiet, allowing moments to pass me by, like a pelican caught in an updraft, ballyhoos circling out of reach in the swells. There was a time not long ago when I would have swum out past the breakers and watched the storm as I floated on my back. And that's the end of our reading of the winning poems. Aren't we something?
Yes. Yes, we are. And you were. And many people have put this in chat, so save your chat. But Joan, you did a remarkable job and lovely readings honoring our winning and poets and honorable mention poets. And we give you a round of applause and really homage.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you, honey. Are there any other comments from anyone who's here? Someone wrote, about that he was going to a Paul McCartney concert nearby, and that after this, he would certainly pale. And, really, these poems have riveted and they shimmer. And I'm very grateful to each of you. We appreciate your being here today, for staying, for holding on to hear the winners and honorable mentions. It is a privilege to be among you. We hope that you will all be with us in September, but if you need a little job to do in the interim, we have plenty. So may you continue. I have no doubt you will continue to write words that just leave us breathless. All right, so this is Linda Myers, and we thank Jonathan Giles for helping us as co-host today. For Miss Joan Berasovska, we're so grateful to Celestine Davis, our wonderful president. And we know Ashley Lumpkin, who's killer poet and can do everything beautifully, would have been here had she been able to. So bless all of you. And thank you, Craig, for being here. Bye-bye.
Great job.
Thank you. Oh, how pretty.